alchemy is it's the science of working with the mind, but in a very ancient sort of way. Chem was the name of Egypt, so it's a kind of a meditative science that developed in ancient Egypt. There's a lot we don't know about ancient Egypt because the Library of Alexandria was burned by the early Roman Catholic Church, and because a woman was in power. As soon as the woman was voted into the library head person, then they went and they burned it and they killed her and everything, and burned a lot of the stuff. And the stuff that we find now is super interesting because like there's a document that proves that someone in 200 BC had ascertained the circumference of the Earth was 25,000 miles, because the equator goes through there. They looked down at a well and they could see the sun was straight up down the well, and then he walked a known distance, put a stick in the ground, and when the sun was right over the well, they measured the shadow on that stick, and then that was the curvature of the Earth if you do trigonometry. And 25,000 miles is pretty good considering they were using a stick and walking. Like, that's pretty close. But that knowledge was forgotten, right? So then they get the flat Earth theory kind of thing. And so what else was forgotten that was known? So much, probably. So much. Especially when we start to look at like the mind. Like there's this philosopher named Descartes, who it's spelled Descartes, and he was the guy that came forward and said, there's this thing called a mind, and then there's this other thing called a body. Before that, it was just all one. And so that shifted the paradigm, especially in the West, which is now, like everywhere is Western philosophy, that, we need mind-body connection. But it used to not be that because there was no separation. And so there's an element of returning to this, that the body is an element in the mind. The mind is not in the body's in the mind. Because I could put my mind over there, and I could shrink my mind to an atom, and I could make my mind the size of the universe, but my body is still here.